Hello, everybody. Welcome to episode 1 of the Mitch Information Podcast. I am Mitch. Today, we're going to talk about why I decided to create a podcast, some motivations and ideas for the structure of the podcast itself. Next, we're going to talk about hypersocialization in social media content with a few fun examples. Furthermore, we're going to talk about music that I liked in 2023, as 2023 has just wrapped up. And we're going to talk about my least favorite Pokemon in competitive Pokemon, which is currently Roaring Moon. So let's just jump into it with my motivations and ideas for this podcast. First off, I'm just terrible at talking, which by extension makes me think that I'm going to be a bad podcaster. I hope I don't end up being a bad podcaster. So it's going to be like a learning experience for me for sure. I've never done podcasts before. I don't listen to too many podcasts. So it's kind of like you'd look at me and you'd be like, why is this guy creating a podcast? He doesn't even interact with podcasts that often. He's just a guy. Which is like a very good argument to make. Like, why should I listen to this guy? But before I get into that, I'm just gonna talk about like some schedules and structure. I'm really not sure how this is gonna go out. I'll probably solidify on something like after I record this. I just wanted to record first just to get some stuff out of the way. I'm thinking either once a week or once every 2 weeks will be the release schedule. It'll more likely it'll be once every 2 weeks. I am still considering once a week. It really depends on my personal schedule, and I'm also willing to not keep that like a reliable thing, just like having it change as I change as well. But I'll probably try to commit to something. I'm looking to have some guests on this podcast as well, so you're not just listening to me all the time, which like the point of the podcast is to get you to listen to me. I have no content, and sometimes I'll need more content. Um, so I'll get some other people on here to talk. The topics, I'm no set topic. I don't want to have a set topic. If I have a set topic for the entirety of the podcast identity, then I'm gonna run out of stuff to talk about at some point, most likely. Which I don't want that to happen. I want it to be fluid. I'd like the topics to be able to switch and conform to like what I am interested in and what my guests are interested in if I have guests. I'll also probably do some viewer questions so you can influence these topics as well. If you really want to hear me talk about whatever, I'll probably set up an email for that where you can just send your wildest or like maybe not your wildest ideas. I don't know if I want to get all your wildest ideas and have a repository of that. I don't think I want that. I can't stop you from doing it. And then I don't know how long these podcasts are going to be. Maybe they could be 5 minutes. Maybe they could be 5 hours. I don't know. And then motivations. Why is another white guy making a podcast? There are so many white people with podcasts. Like you, if you went up to like somebody in like a large city and you just saw them and they looked like they at least knew how to purchase a microphone and were white and were male, they'd probably say that they have a podcast, or at least tried to have a podcast at one point. And I mentioned before, like, person who doesn't interact with podcasts, why is he making a podcast? I just feel like this is another like avenue to feel creative. You know, I don't know how creative this podcast is gonna be. Like, I don't think I'm gonna like blow your mind with intense and rich storytelling. But you know, if like I get 3 people to listen to this first episode in its entirety, that would be pretty funny. Another goal is just to like spread joy. I'm not talking about joy as like a synonym of happiness. I'm kind of talking as like a deeper overall sense of meaning and pleasure rather than just the fleeting moments that we consider as happiness. Like a jazz band that I listen to a lot called the Ezra Collective put this together really well. No matter what you're feeling in the moment, you can't allow that to steal your joy, your sense of purpose, your sense of self, and really your sense of being a human being on this planet. I want to give myself and others like an opportunity to do that and have that recorded at the same time. It really just boils down to that. And also, I have time to do it. Like, if I have time to do something, I'm probably going to end up doing that thing. You know, it's fun to do things. It really is. Yeah, it's just really boils down to that. It's like getting my voice out there and just being a human being on this complicated planet. Really, speaking of human beings on this complicated planet, I want to talk about a phenomenon that I see when I open social media, which I'm dubbing as hyper specialization. I don't know if that's the right word, but what I'm trying to mean by this, the content that people make are just really, it seems so specific. It's like how does somebody even consider to make like this type of content? It's really crazy. I've got 2 examples of this. One example is a cookbook author that I really like. I haven't read any of her cookbooks, but I really like her social media content. Is Christy Carlson. Christy Carlson goes by Malibu Christy on Instagram. That's Christy with a K if you really want to search it up, but you'll probably find that without knowing. That's a K for Christy. Her specialized content is doing tiny little quizzes on Instagram Reels. Maybe they're on TikTok too. I don't know. But I see them on Instagram Reels because I am an Instagram Reels user. I don't know how indicative of my IQ that is. Probably indicative of a very low IQ, if anything. It's just a 5-question quiz, and it's just name this produce item. Like the most recent one is part 39. So there's 39 of these videos. She releases one like once every 2 weeks. This is probably because this isn't her day job. Her day job is writing cookbooks based on TV shows. She's got one for the Gilmore Girls. If you really like the Gilmore Girls and you want to eat like a Gilmore, get that book. You know, it's on Amazon. But part 39 starts off the produce looking item. Of course, it's naming produce, so it's going to be a produce looking item. I'm going to guess plantain on this one. It is a plantain. The second one looks like a small onion, but not a shallot because shallots are kind of pinkish purple. This one is like pearlescent white. This is a white boiling onion. Next, she's pulling out some sage. I'm really confident that this is sage. It is sage, and I was correct. Number 4, I think this is actually a shallot. It's another small onion-looking root vegetable, but this is actually a purple pearl onion. And then finally, it's like this orange-looking citrus fruit, but I don't know if it's a navel orange. So I think I got two. I got the plantain and I got the sage. Yeah. Um, I guess you could kind of give me navel orange, but the thing is, with her content is that like she really does the specific varieties because otherwise you can't have 39 episodes of guessing produce. There's going to be some overlaps and really just yeah, there's going to be a lot of overlap then if you don't take in varieties because 39 times 5, I'm going to get this wrong off the rip, but I feel like that's 195. So she has done quizzes on a total of 195 types of produce. And back to like what why is this related to hyper specialization? Who thinks in their mind that I'm going to do produce quizzes or I want to watch produce quizzes? Like you don't think off the rip that what do you want in social media content? I want a quiz that quizzes me on my produce knowledge. I've discovered that I really get excited when she posts a new video. It's exciting. It's like academic feedback, but on Instagram, which I don't know how much y'all know me, probably not at all. This is episode 1. Um but I do enjoy a bit of academic feedback. So like if I get like a 4 or above when like on the first try. Of course, on like the second or third try, I'm gonna be like getting 5 out of 5 pretty easily. I'm not gonna be wrong really often at all on like those second or third tries. But it's like who thinks of this? Another example that I'm going to bring up is Tom Fernandez. His account isn't named Tom Fernandez. His account is named Oli Robin 12. The Oli at the beginning is OLI. This account is very interesting. If you know Metallica or if you know pop culture within the past few years, you know the song Master of Puppets. It was a big song in Stranger Things, and people were like, "Oh my god, gotta put this song wherever I can." I don't know if he's. I don't know if he's seen Stranger Things. I think he's just a Metallica fan. It's more likely that he's a Metallica fan than a Stranger Things fan, just by how much his content is centered around that one song, Master of Puppets. What this guy does is every single Instagram reel. This is still on Instagram. I'm an Instagram Reels user. It's all covers of Master of Puppets. How does he manage to change it up? If he did a guitar cover or any of the instruments that are actually in the song every single time, you would only have four videos, I guess. Yeah, 4 videos in total, unless if you want to repeat the drum cover 70 times or something. What this guy does is it's just he switches up the instrument. And they're instruments that you don't think of as instruments. They're one of my favorites is the tree cover of Master of Puppets. This guy, what he did is it looks like he took either a rubber band or a guitar string and like taped it with like a screwdriver onto a tree. So like the tree, okay, I'm looking at it again. It looks like a rubber band. However, it's just taped to a tree. So like the tree is the resonant structure here. It's not the actual instrument. This is a common theme with him basically doing a guitar cover, but it's changing like what that string instrument is built off of. There's one with a clock where he does this. Yep, clock cover. Um, but in the past, he would like carve fruits and vegetables to be wind instruments, and then play master puppets on there too. Like I remember a potato one. I think there was a carrot one as well. This is all this guy does. All he does is play master of puppets. And it's the intro every single time. It's boop 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 every single time on whatever instrument this guy can conceive. It's pretty specific, pretty cool, pretty novel idea to say the least. Um, like this is also hyper specialization. Like who the hell thinks to do master puppets several hundred times probably at this point? And like how does this phenomena exist? How do both Malibu Christie and Tom Fernandez, or Christy Carlson and Tom Fernandez, decide that they are gonna end up just doing basically the same thing over and over and over again, but like switching up what the instrument is or what the produce is? I don't really know how to frame this. We know that people and algorithms exist, and we kind of know that the algorithms of social media are designed to mimic the social structure that we've built or like add to the social structure that we built pre-internet. You know, we have people can give feedback on what they think is popular, but what social media has done, it's like added to the fact that people can access niche things with a greater ease than before. And like through this societal feedback structure, we've already gotten the general specialists. You know, we've already gotten the people doing guitar covers, the people doing drum covers, the people doing cooking content. What we don't have in the market is we still have room for these specialists, because you can choose multiple content creators. So we're able to have room for all these niche content creators, and you can take advantage of these algorithmic and like social pathways that already exist for general music content, and then also food and interactive content as well. That's what both Malibu Christie and Oli Robin 12 are doing. They're just taking advantage of pathways that were built by the general specialists, but they are going a step beyond and bringing something new to the table at the same time. And I find this really interesting. These are two of my more recent favorite accounts on Instagram. I get like very excited when I see a new Malibu Christie video or a new Oli Robin 12 video. I don't think I even follow them. It's just like they pop up in my explore page when they post. But yeah, I really like this trend. I want to get some more hyper specialized lobotomy content. That's a new term people are using, lobotomy content. I think this hyper specialization could fit into that lobotomy content realm, but it doesn't feel entirely like lobotomy content, if that makes sense. Transitioning to a different type of content that I really like is music. As I stated before, we're out of 2023 now. We're not done with the issues that we've created in 2023. We won't ever be done with those issues, but everybody in the music industry, or everybody that listens to music, really likes the idea of wrapping up music that you've listened to in a year. I just wanted to state what I liked throughout the year. I don't think I have very like innovative or important ideas in music in general. This is an introductory podcast. I want to introduce you to myself. What are some projects that I liked in 2023? Not all of these will be made in 2023. I just listened to them in 2023 a lot, but a decent majority of the ones that I want to wrap up or like talk about quickly were made in 2023. These aren't ordered in a specific order. I just wrote them down, and these are what came to my mind. So first, we got Maps by Kenny Segal and Billy Woods. Great album. Talks a lot about like the concept of travel and your relationship between the sense of place and your sense of self. Does home really mean the place you live most of the time? Could it actually mean a sense of self? And how do we interact with people from these different places where we really haven't been before? And more importantly, the music's good. Kenny Segal is one of my favorite hip hop producers. I don't know if he just does hip hop or he actually branches out into other realms of production, but he is great. It matches Billy Woods' gritty and descriptive vocals very well. The beats are distorted, yet they give a clear indication of where the beat lines up with the lyrics. It doesn't separate, it doesn't feel like a blob of nothing. It's a good pairing overall. Next album, Beware of the Monkey by Mike. This isn't really a thematic album. It's just a lot of bangers on the same project, which I'm always down for. Yeah, I can't really describe it too much more than that. Mike is a very interesting rapper and producer where he can create these short songs that you really feel like should be longer, but you don't know how he could actually like add to it without detracting from the overall song. It's a very quick experience that hits you hard, which is always nice to hear. You know, you have 2 minutes before a class, 2 minutes before a meeting. You want to listen to music, you just pull up a Mike song. Yeah, and the vocals and lyrical content are very, it isn't as direct as Billy Woods, but it's in a similar vocal register where you're able to understand the emotion and the feeling that they're going for without even listening to the words. The feeling is not only connected to the words but also independent at the same time, which is a skill that I appreciate. I have a lot of Mike albums on this list, including Faith is a Rock with Wiki and The Alchemist and Burning Desire. Burning Desire is a huge deviation from the typical Mike album. There's a plethora of longer songs. The album itself is longer than the typical Mike album. And as a whole, we get this environment that he's trying to create, and it doesn't let you go until the end. I really like these albums where, yes, there's standalone songs that you can listen to, but as a whole, it's a whole piece itself. I can listen to 16s all the time, no problems. But listening to that with the context of every single song before and every single song after feels like an entirely different experience, and a great experience nonetheless. I personally enjoy these albums where you can sit down and listen to the whole thing beginning to end. It doesn't have to be a thematic album. It just has to make sense. Faith is a Rock, it's just kind of like Beware of the Monkey, where it's just a collection of really good songs. Mike and Wiki really complement themselves really well, partly due to that they're in two different vocal registers. Mike can kind of be, it's a very deep voice, can be unclear at points. He's definitely prone to mumbling, but Wiki is very sharp, to the point, and it doesn't sound harsh, even though it's in that upper level vocal register. Very good compliments to each other. Mayor's a Cop. Wonderful lyrics by Wiki on One More. Take a moment sometime if you want to listen to some hip hop. Gonna go over some jazz albums pretty quick. I like jazz. These are all 1960s hard bop jazz albums. That's primarily where my interest lies in jazz, is hard bop and post bop. Was really introduced to jazz from Coltrane, Sonny Rollins primarily, so that's where my interest ends up. I have 3 albums on here that I really liked. Evolution by Grosjean Moncur III. Very, very invigorating album. High energy. It's willing to commit to an idea, but still remain in this kind of avant-garde post-bop area where it draws you in without feeling too harsh. Which avant-garde to me can feel sometimes, where it's like, what is going on here? What's the connection from this to just a minute ago, really? 4 songs on this album. 2 of them are over 10 minutes. I'd really recommend the first track, Air Raid. Very good. A very good cover, too. I find that most of my favorite covers of albums are jazz albums. Very, very well done, especially the Blue Note ones. I think these are all Blue Note albums that I really like. But having lead musician plastered right on the front for most of these albums gives you a very good insight into what the emotional content of this music will be. And that's consistent with Evolution. Get right into the middle of the trombone. You know that it's going to be in your face. Another one is Nigeria by Grant Green. Love Grant Green. Great jazz guitar. If you love jazz guitar, you will love Grant Green. Yeah, he's just a guy doing great stuff. The drums on this album, I think, are really great. It's Art Blakey. If you know Art Blakey, then you're like, I probably should listen to this album if you haven't. Sam Jones on bass, Sonny Clark on piano. Very, very good lineup for a quartet. Hits all the notes that you want it to hit, especially with jazz guitar. Oftentimes with me, when I think of jazz guitar, I just feel like it's not too versatile, but you get that versatility on this album. Final one that I like this year was Stick Up by Bobby Hutcherson. I feel like if I remember correctly, this is like one of his first albums. I'm not completely sure if it's exactly his first, but great hard bop, vibraphone, jazz. I think that's really all you need to hear. If you weren't convinced, tenor saxophone, most of the tracks have Joe Henderson. I think there's 1 or 2 that doesn't have Joe Henderson on tenor sax. He's great. Convince you even more? McCoy Tyner on piano. I don't think I need to say much more for that. Really wonderful album. And we're going to get into one indie music album I liked. I don't really like indie music too much, but this album was great. Norm by Andy Schaaf. Another album that I'd recommend listening to start to finish all the way through. Only stopping for like ads if you don't pay for streaming services. Like I don't pay for streaming services, so I get those Tide Pods ads a bunch. Anti shout out to Tide Pods. If you made it this far in the video, or I guess podcast, but it's gonna be technically a video. Comment anti shout out to Tide Pods. Yeah, anti shout out to Tide Pods. Great album though. Really, if you like kind of that I don't know if suave's the right word, but like really gentle and warm music in general, just listen to this album. Gonna put 3 more hip hop albums on this list, and then we're gonna move on. Conductor Machine by Conductor Williams and Conway the Machine. Very good EP, great production, as you always get from Conductor Williams. It's a Griselda related album, so you kind of know what you get before going into it. Reminiscent of 90s boom bap, but with modern flair, and way better. In my opinion, of course, you are free to argue with me, free to disagree with me, but way better sampling techniques and general consistency. And then Conway the Machine is Conway the Machine, presenting both invigorating vocals and invigorating lyrics at the same time. It just makes the whole album very great. I'm gonna butcher this name if I can remember it, but it's like Save the Genius or something. I don't remember what her name is, but she's on Flame, I think, on this record. Very good opening verse from her. Very memorable. One of my most memorable songs of the year is that song, and I think that was the single for this EP, and it's very easy to see why it's the best song on that EP, and it's just such a joyride to listen to. I'm gonna abbreviate this title because I don't want to say the third word, and that's probably a good enough hint to what the title is. But STH by JPEG Mafia and Danny Brown. This is, I don't know if they scared them, but I feel like they kind of fatigued them, would be a better word. Very, very, very energetic album. You can kind of tell by the two artists involved. If you listen to it a bunch, it'll be fatiguing. Those first listens, and this is actually an album that I'd recommend listening to a song at a time rather than front to end, because it can be fatiguing just because these are two hyper talented, funny guys who are just trying to make each other laugh the entire time, but also make good music at the same time. Very weird dynamic, very chronically online dynamic. Shout out to them though. Kingdom Hearts Key is a great song. Red Veil, shout out to Red Veil. He's goated. And then final album, Kiss the Ring, Rome Streets. This one was released in 2022, I think. Shout out Conductor Williams again. He has a few songs on this, but the one that I'm thinking of right now, Soulja Boy featuring Conway the Machine. What a piano sample. I want to create like a playlist of just hip hop piano samples, because that one is just so great that I want to find. And like, I think I know other ones, but I can't name them off the top of my head. I think Raid by MF Doom. This piano sample. I'm gonna get roasted in the comments if it's not. Feel free to do so. But Soulja Boy, great, great, great. Good Conway verse. Rome Streets, again, very energetic, very convincing. This album wraps you into the environment he wants you to be in, and keeps you there, which is very good. I realized now that I've been ranting for 44 minutes, so we're gonna move on to the next topic. And yeah, I'm honestly just like so cool, and you definitely listen this far. Yeah. Okay. Final topic. I dislike Roaring Moon. For those that don't know, Roaring Moon is a Pokemon, a two-word named Pokemon. Roaring Moon is a paradox Pokemon, and what these paradox Pokemon are is they're like, I think gimmick might be the right word here, but like a gimmick form of another Pokemon, but you don't have to like do anything in battle to get it. It's just technically a whole separate Pokemon. This is a paradox form of Salamence. Why do I not like this one? God, it's just somehow both really good on offense and like technically defensively. Not like really defensively, but like it can get in and survive a few hits, is what I mean defensively. This is mainly due to its typing of Dark and Dragon. Not many important types are hitting it for super effective. Like a lot of types are hitting it for super effective with Fighting, Fairy, Ice, Dragon, and probably a few others that I'm forgetting. Oh, Bug. Those all hit it super effectively. But the thing is, you don't have to switch it in on that move. You switch it in on the things it resists and on special attack hits as well, because its special defense is pretty good for what it does, which is a setup sweeper. So you like switch it in on Shadow Ball and something. And booster energy is just so cheap on this mon. You either get a guaranteed attack boost or a guaranteed speed boost just by switching in, and you'll probably only bring this thing in once or twice. So it's like a 70% chance basically that you'll get to keep it. But you don't really need it, because if you switch it in and you get good positioning, just click Dragon Dance. And then you know what you do next? You terrestrialize, which is this generation's gimmick of changing into a flying type, and then you get the same type attack bonus on acrobatics, and acrobatics now has a 120 base power because you have no item anymore, because booster energy is a consumable item, so you don't have it after it's used. And then you also have Dragon Dance boost, and then you might have booster energy as well if you're running attack booster energy. And then you just win. Very, very, very fun for the other person. And it's not like other setup sweepers where there's mind games like King Gambit or Raging Bolt, which is a dragon and electric paradox form of Raikou, and there's no hard checks. Not a lot of hard checks. There's some hard checks to Roaring Moon, but most of the teams that are currently meta teams don't run those checks. So when DLC was released, Smogon decided to bring back some previously banned Pokemon, and they brought Roaring Moon back, but they didn't bring back Baxcalibur, which is an ice type that was really good at countering Roaring Moon. That's no longer back. Weavile, decent counter, but it's frail and not many people are running it. It isn't that good. It's really the only thing that it's countering is Roaring Moon, and like that's it. It doesn't do too much else. We got Kyurem as well. It's slower than Roaring Moon, but it can survive a hit and then KO it, but it's another one of these mons where you really want to keep HP on it, so it's like I don't really know if you want to get hit. Iron Valiant, another one of these possible counters, but it gets outsped by Roaring Moon, so good luck with that, I guess. You're going to have to use a Terra, which is like fine in some circumstances, but if they really force you to use your Terra and they haven't yet, like you probably don't want to Terra, but you kind of got to. And then like physical defense walls like Corviknight and Gliscor, we got Skarmory. Skarm's good. Skarm's a good counter to Roaring Moon. But the thing is, Corviknight can be removed by the Roaring Moon common teammates, and it's relatively easy to remove Corviknight. It's relatively easy to remove Skarmory. It's relatively easy to remove Clefable. Like, if you know what you're doing and you have the right Pokemon on your team, of course, which, like, I often don't. Maybe this is, like, a bad rant because I just suck at Pokemon, but I don't like this guy. And it's like the argument too is like, why don't you use him if he's so good? And I was like, I don't want to. I'm like so childish like that. When it comes to Pokemon, it's like there's certain sets, certain Pokemon as well that'll like refuse to run because it's not a fairness thing. It can be a fairness thing, but it's like I just don't want to. I don't want to play as this guy. I don't want to use what's a good one? I don't want to use Alola Mola. That one's fine though. That stupid looking fish. I think most people can understand why I don't want to use Alola Mola. Stupid fish. And Roaring Moon is one of those Pokemon. So I just end up being a hater online for fun. I love hating. Yeah. Um yeah, this is basically the end of the podcast. I have nothing else to say.